What's up, my fellow scruffy looking nerf herders, and welcome to the Carbonite Chat. This is my third or fourth live attempt that I've deleted and played back through endlessly to try to get this to work. I'm trying to make sure that the feed is working right now. I was told the last one the sound wasn't working, but the mic is on now, so hopefully it is working. I've recorded this video 3 different times. I've tried to do funny intros to be able to do something a little bit more interesting on my return back, because it's been like 6 to 9 months since I've done a video. And everything I've tried to do, it's messed up. The video's cut off 3 or 4 times, and this one, the video's not playing right. It's been turned around backwards. It's been a pain to get back, but I'm back, so, and hoping to be back from now on. I wanted to cover the top stories that's happened over the last like 6 to 9 months, however long I've been gone. I had a bit that I was going to do about how I haven't been gone. YouTube just hasn't been uploading my videos because they don't like me, but that obviously is past at this point because I'm just trying to actually get the videos going. So first off, one of the things I want to talk about, somebody that's on my channel that's got a TV or t-shirt that they sell called Kathleen Kennedy, or Firing Kathleen Kennedy, is the news that Kathleen Kennedy got hired back to do 3 more years as the president of Lucasfilm. Ultimately, I think this is kind of a non-story. It's not that surprising. You have somebody like her that she can't be fired by Lucasfilm. There's nothing that they can do to get rid of her, and so if they get rid of her, it's going to be an outcry. Feminists are going to go nuts, and everybody's going to say, well, the movies did so well, even though they're going to ignore the fact of all the other stuff I've pointed out in prior videos. Plus, it looked like they were actually trying to get rid of her and trying to find other people to come in to do her job, but they couldn't find anybody. Nobody wanted this job because it's not exactly a job that a lot of people would feel like is something that's a safe bet for them at this point. There's so much chaos going on with all the decision making and everything that ultimately it scared anybody worth their time away. So they hired her again till 2021, which the only benefit of that is maybe that means she won't be messing with the Game of Thrones people's movies, is what I'm hoping. Because I actually have a little bit of hope for what they're actually planning on doing, and we'll have to see, but we'll get to some of those. The other one is Rian Johnson. There was rumors about Rian Johnson not making his movie. Of course, that wasn't true. I don't think that's going to be the case. What's up, Sketch Therapy? Good to be back. I think that ultimately he's going to do his movie. It's going to be crap. They're not going to pass it off, but one of the funny things I found with it is they also said that his movie was going to be rated G and made for just kids, and he didn't like that. And what's up, system? Yeah, it's been a while. Sorry, guys. But he ended up getting mad about that, which is obvious that if you look at the movie, as I've pointed out so many times, The Last Jedi, the humor was nothing but 5-year-old kids' humor. It's a bunch of stupid jokes with tossing lightsabers or milking a sea cow or the reincarnation of Jar Jar Binks with Finn walking around with water squirting everywhere, all after supposedly serious moments. So the fact that he could just not get why people would think that he's making a kid's movie just shows how little he understands about anything from Star Wars to even the fans or audiences that watched his show. Getting to some of the interesting news, and I've said this before, is the TV. I think TV is ultimately where everything's going with Star Wars. I think that's the best hope. I think they're doing what Marvel does, which they're kind of the opposite of Star Wars, where Marvel's got the best movies but not the greatest TV. But I think that that's flipping for Star Wars because I don't think Kathleen Kennedy is going to be overseeing the TV. So with Dave Filoni, or even if it's Jon Favreau here, overseeing the TV with Mandalorian, they did the smart thing of letting him overwrite the entire series and then hiring different directors. Jon Favreau is great. He really loves Star Wars. Doing Mandalorians is brilliant. He was a big fan of the Mandalorians. He actually voiced one of the Mandalorians in the Clone Wars. But then along with him writing it, and I mean, he's the one that got the Marvel Universe kind of off the ground and going, he also is going to be bringing in the directors. The directors are what's his name? Taki. I just blanked on what his name is. Uh, Taki Watiti or whatever. For Thor Ragnarok. That director, who's also directing the Guardians of the Galaxy, the third one. He also directed some small independent films, something along the lines of We in the Shadows. It's a kind of a humorous one with vampires. Very talented, and the one that everyone is kind of looking forward from the Star Wars fans is Dave Filoni directing his first live action films. Anybody that's a fan, most people that's a fan, are really looking forward to this. They've been wanting him to do a Star Wars movie or something for a very long time. And I think this is a good first step where he gets to prove that he can direct live action. And I think he's going to be great at it because all of the Clone Wars actors, their voice acting, they said that he was so brilliant at helping them understand the characters and the situations that they were in, and then understanding the emotion that they needed at that point. Whether or not he lied to them about something to come, or didn't tell them about something to come, or waiting to tell them about some special moment until right before they're about to film, so that they have that emotional connection. That's half of what directing is. For a director is helping your cast understand the emotion that they're supposed to properly convey to the camera. And all words from every different actor in Clone Wars has said that's what he's brilliant at. And obviously, I think he understands Star Wars very well. The next director is Rick Fakayumi or something along those lines. I'm sorry for getting your name wrong. He directed the movie Dope, which came out on Netflix. I believe it was a straight to Netflix, but I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a really good movie. There was some dumb political stuff that was put in there that I didn't think was necessary or logical, but ultimately it was a really, really good movie. I thought it was one of the best movies of the year. And so him directing one of these episodes, I think is a really good thing. And you add to that they added Bryce Dallas Howard, which I'm not sure about. I thought she had directed one of the Black Mirror episodes that she was in, but she didn't. So she doesn't really have any experience directing anything worthwhile. There's some small things, but nothing really of matter. No, I'm Not Dead. And then episode 9 equals chapter 11. They're clear. Greatly like both, and they underestimate silent discontent of the populace as far as I can see. Yeah, I've paid a little bit of attention about episode 9. I'm kind of interested in that. There wasn't that much to talk about for this episode. Obviously, their titles that they're trying to come up with is about the only news other than everybody trying to sell that this movie's going to be amazing and it's going to be the most epic thing ever and all that. One interesting thing I did see on episode 9 was I read in one article that George Lucas was working hand in hand to make sure that they fix Luke, which that could be interesting if true, but I don't know otherwise. What's up, Swamp Oak? But back to the TV shows, the Bryce Dallas Howard thing, at least she can have her father to help her out on that, and it is just one TV episode. And the final one is a Deborah Chow or Cho. I don't know much about her. I've never seen her. But she's directed a lot of TV shows from Jessica Jones to Fear the Walking Dead to Mr. Robot and Better Call Saul. I've never seen any of those, but they're all pretty prominent shows that are pretty well respected. So it's worth giving her the chance. And it fits with what Kathleen Kennedy said they wanted to do with TV. Which is trying to get more diversity, which I hate that that's your idea of what you want to do for your company is just focusing on diversity. But in this instance, it worked out because I think all of the people named are talented. And I think they earned it by their skill, not just by their diversity of being majority or being more women and then people of color or whatever. They're not all white men, so that makes them happy. But I think it's actually, there's a good talent pool that they have in here. And so that's awesome to hear. Yeah, sorry, man. I hope to be back. I hope to be back and doing everything. I plan to be back on the daily now from this point on, even though today has been the hardest upload I've ever had to try to do, which is why I ended up going live and one or two people saw me go live and then turn it off like 3 times and have to delete it to get it going. But I'm in the middle of moving, which is one of the many reasons why I haven't uploaded in a while. It's the 3rd time I've moved since my last videos. And if you could see behind, it's chaos everywhere. which is, I got to work on the sound. There's nothing, but I just have a chair and a blank wall right now trying to get things done. But I had finally told myself I was going to come back, and I didn't want to back out and not do it and then wait even longer. Going further on the Mandalorian thing, the actors as well are absolutely unbelievable. You got Pedro Pascal, who did Narcos and was in Game of Thrones. I think is a perfect choice. And it gets all of them to shut up and be quiet because, again, it's a non-white male lead, but he is talented, and I look forward to that. You've got Nick Nolte, which I think is really funny. I'm interested to see what they do with Nick Nolte. I would imagine because his character is always kind of like a drunk, old, grumpy guy. So he's probably going to be some old, retired Mandalorian that's complaining about how people are doing it or they don't understand how tough it was back in his day or something. I don't know, but I'm interested in that. I'm also interested in Werner Herzog. It's unfortunate that he's just acting and not directing because he's a phenomenal director, but at least he's there. Somebody with that name and that magnitude is not someone to ignore when you have that listed on, you know, some movie or TV show that you're doing. Another big actor of recent from his Breaking Bad roles is Giancarlo Esposito. Obviously, he was in Breaking Bad and now in Better Call Saul, and he's been in a ton of movies and TV shows, but those are what he's most known for. I'm very interested to see him and how he's kind of portrayed in that. The other big name that I'm interested in and I like it is Carl Weathers. He was in the original Rocky, or he was in the Rocky movies, and I like that choice. I like that. I like all the stuff going on. The score is going to be done by the Black Panther guy who just won the Oscar, I believe, Ludwig Göransson, I think is how you say his name. He's talented. I didn't think the Black Panther was as good as a lot of people did. His Creed scores were good. He's done some just basic albums with other people like Childish Gambino. But I look forward to it. Some of the comments I read from him say that, like, kind of make me feel comfortable. I'm looking forward to The Mandalorian. I think The Mandalorian is going to really hit it off big, in a really big way. Let's see, did you know Favreau tried hard to get the sequel trilogy job and idiots gave it to Abel? Yeah, that does suck. I didn't know that, but that would have been amazing to have Jon Favreau setting that up. I'd love to hear the Vader fan films. It was their fan film show that inspired my fan film watch parties on World Class. Yeah, I haven't seen the Vader thing. I've seen some of the stuff going on with it. I heard that he got copyright and that there was a big issue. What I've heard is it's all positive. I'll definitely do a review of it, but I've waited to watch it until I was going to be back and could do a review. But I've heard good things, but I have not watched any of Star Wars Theory's stuff. Yeah, but that I'll definitely check it out. I didn't know you were doing some watch parties or something. Very interesting. Look forward to hearing more about that, actually. But as far as the other TV shows, the only other ones that's announced is Cassian Andor, which I'm kind of up and down on my thoughts on that. Cassian is an interesting character. It fits with the story kind of idea, the MO of Lucasfilm at this point, which is basically just trying to continually get more and more people that they are going to have showing the Imperial side or showing they're always trying to show the dark side and make them more relatable. And I think that's what they're going to do with Cassian Andor. They've shown very small bits in the Clone Wars, like some of the times with that guy that Ahsoka Tano liked. I cannot remember the guy's name off the top of my head right now. But where they began to show him as, kind of like, oh, there's a different side. Not all separatists are just Count Dooku and a bunch of droids or Grievous or Palpatine. And that's what they're going to do there. The guy that's doing the showrunner is Steven Skiff, which I don't know much about him. I haven't really seen anything he's done other than he wrote Wall Street Never Sleeps or something, the sequel. I love the first one, so I watched the second one. It wasn't that great. But he also was showrunner for the last few seasons of Americans, which I think is what got him this job. Because Cassian Andor is going to play like a spy or an informant for the Separatists. And The Americans is a spy movie between Russia and America. So it works out. It shows that at least that gives us an idea of what they're going to try to do. The only other news we've got is the writer is Jared Bush, who was the writer for Moana and Zootopia. So two movies that were very well written that kind of speaks volumes. He wrote the first episode and wrote like the Bible, which is basically what everyone else that comes and writes the rest of the episodes kind of has to follow, that they keep an idea of what they should have done with the original, not the original, but the sequel trilogy, where if they chose Abrams instead of Favreau, as you mentioned before, that they would have him write it and at least leave a Bible of saying, okay, these are the rules you can't break going forward for further directors. But he wrote that, so it'll be very interesting. I think that that's got potential, but I don't know. You have some ability to add some old Clone Wars people back. You have some cool stuff with Battle that you can add in there. I think that that's got potential. What doesn't have potential, in my mind, is some of the other rumors that they had. And these could be bull. There's definitely nothing specified, and it could just be one random person that posted something on Reddit, and everybody else goes out with it, and nobody ends up, there's no truth behind it. The first one is Lando and Kira. I don't like this, mainly because I think Kira is a terrible actress. Emilia Clarke is not a good actress. She's in Game of Thrones, which is huge, and I love Game of Thrones, but if you pay attention, they always try to hide her as an actress. A lot of the other actors, they'll really focus on their face and emotional scenes and stuff like that, but with Kira, they'll either cut it short or they won't have an emotional scene, or they'll cut to a reaction shot of the other person reacting on what you imagine her reaction is going to be, because she just can't act. And that's been proven a few times with other movies and stuff like that, so I'm not a fan of that. I don't think the character would be that bad if done properly, especially getting her away from the Han Solo thing. But just seeing how she got her rise up, the books with her were not really interesting. And then the Lando thing, I don't have that much of an opinion on it, but it's kind of a hit and miss. Sometimes he just killed it. Sometimes it felt like he was trying to do a bad impression, and sometimes it felt like he wasn't even Lando at all. But I would be fine with it if it wasn't him and Kira. The only thing that kind of sells me on this is not them, but what you can see from the surrounding stuff, where you can see the crime syndicates, you can see the Pikes, you can see the underworld, you can see what's going on with everything else. And I think in a story on TV, that can be really interesting, because you can really start to kind of spread out and build the world of everything else going on in that place. Really? So apparently the rumor with Clone Wars is being erected to tie into the Disney characters. I wouldn't be surprised, but that sucks. That was one of the ones I wanted to talk about, was Clone Wars, was the fact that articles came out. The reason it was canceled was because it was too graphic. That's absolutely insane to me, that is the argument that's used. I mean, to some extent, it makes a little bit of sense. If you're only going to do one animated show and you want it to be on Disney, maybe that's too graphic for Disney people, so they cancel it and put Rebels in, and now they're doing the Resistance show, which I haven't seen or watched the trailer or know anything about it, but I guess that there's the possibility that, I would imagine it's very much more kid-friendly. So, but it's not really that graphic. It is graphic to some extent, but that's what I love, and I think that's what a lot of people loved. It was a very adult storyline, even though it was an animated film. And as it aged up, that was where it got more and more popular, where people wanted it. And I'm hoping that they're bringing it back now, because now that they've got other animated shows, they're willing to do more graphic stuff. Hopefully Dave Filoni kind of put his foot down and was like, we're not going to childish up. But to me, I hope they keep Clone Wars the same way that it was, and I really hope they don't try to tie in with all these new Disney characters. I'm sure they're going to connect with some Rebels people, but I don't know where else they're going to connect with. The Resistance is later on, because Rebels is only going to run till episode 3, so it's probably going to run right up to where either the ending is going to be Order 66, that's going to be the last, kind of finale, or it's going to be right as Anakin and Obi-Wan find out that they have some kind of, they find out that Palpatine has been kidnapped. And so it sets up and goes immediately into episode 3. It would be hard to set up Rey stuff, or it would be hard to set up Resistance stuff as far as I know. I don't know about the other TV shows. They can set up some solo stuff, possibly. Have some stuff with Beckett and Val. But I don't know. I'm interested to see how that all plays itself out. I'm going to be a fan. I'm going to be excited when Clone Wars comes out, for sure. The other TV shows that are terrible ideas is a Captain Phasma TV show. They just can't let this character go. They've got Captain Phasma, who they put out in the first one that everybody just obsessed over. They pushed the character out like crazy, sold so much merchandise, or attempted to sell. I don't know how much they sold. I didn't like the character's look. I like Gwendolyn Christie. I'm not a chrome guy. I would prefer flat black on everything. I love the Death Troopers. But the character just never pulled, like it never did anything. And then they put out some comics. The comics weren't interesting either. And then Last Jedi, it's the same crap as before. And Rian Johnson, the 3-year-old humorist, thought it was funny and said she can be like Kenny, where she can just keep coming back to life. Like, no, that's not how this works. Like, and the book that they put out, it was somewhat interesting, but really not that good. It never did much. And then to me, that would have been the TV show. There's nothing else to go. The only interesting thing is if the book was actually the TV show, I could be interested in it. But it wasn't that interesting as a book. But now that you put it out, how do you make a TV show of something else other than what you talked about? I mean, I don't know, unless they're going to say she's still alive in episode 9, and then they're going to do like a future story or how she survived the fall, which doesn't make any sense, but that would make sense for them. And finally, the greatest TV show that I'm hoping they make, really hoping that they end up making this, because it would give me hundreds of videos to do, and that's a Rose Tico series. I don't even know how you do this. I don't know if she's going to be working on ships or something, or if it's going to be between episode 8 and 9. Most likely it would be the same thing from that book that they did, which I don't even remember the book. It's Cobalt Squadron. I couldn't make it through. I made like 4 chapters. I may have read the whole thing one time, and I just I wanted to erase it from my brain. It was so terrible. But it would be her and her sisters most likely. They'll tell her backstory because they'll be able to add another girl in there. And a lot of people were actually more interested in her sister because she actually sacrificed herself. Too bad Rose wasn't there to run her over with a ship to stop her. But I don't know. It's just not interesting. The other one that's not really interesting because where do you go with it is there's a Poe and Finn thing, which opposite of the Lando Kira thing, I think that there's no intrigue for a story, but I think those two characters are intriguing as a pair. Like, they got along so well in the TIE Fighter, and there was an automatic chemistry that they had. And Oscar Isaacs is a phenomenal actor. John Boyega is a phenomenal actor, and they got clear chemistry. So I would like to see something, but there's no storyline to tell. Unless you're going to wait till episode 9's over and then tell what happens in between 8 and 9. But between 8 and 9, we're already going to know what happens. We're going to know how their story ends, so it's not going to be intriguing. Plus, how many people really give a crap about what happens in between that? Or they're going to tell what happens after 9. I don't know. I'm on the Ethan, Teeka, Pass, Ryan, Depressor, and give it bad lines. Rose is a horrible character, and I'm happy to place all the blame on Ryan. 100% love to place all the blame for Rose's character on Ryan. He was the one that just screwed it up and tried to add all of his stuff in. Does Billy D. Williams need to adjust his Lando for episode 9 now to account for the other guy's inaccuracies? Yeah, I don't... Lando for 3 years and now 2 Landos in 2 years. Yeah, I heard somebody else say that they thought that was the whole reason they brought in Childish Gambino, I can't think of his real, Donald Glover, to play Lando, was they wanted to be able to remind people who Lando was before they brought Lando back. That's the dumbest argument I've ever heard. To think that someone would need to be reminded of who Lando is. If you do, you're not a Star Wars fan, so why are we kind of creating things for them? But I don't know. I have a feeling that his character is going to be kind of small. He's going to be so much older, and unfortunately, Billy D. Williams is kind of old. He's not able to move around as much, and there's so much time difference between the two characters. I don't know how much they're really going to need to be able to change. They're probably just going to almost pretend like the Solo didn't happen to be able to just continue Billy D. Williams doing Billy D. Williams however he wants to, which is essentially why George Lucas hired him. He said, I want you to play Billy D. Williams in space, so that's what he did. Just the coolest guy ever. And so I think that's kind of how it's going to play. Let's see, so much more stuff. It's a Disney problem. I thought it was just Lucas, but MCU is now also being tied to new unlikable characters. That's true. There's a lot of news about the MCU coming out that's not exactly exciting, which is unfortunate because I was going to start doing some more Marvel stuff. They can't let her character go, but they also can't use her to great effect. Not sure you're talking about that one, Lord of Men, but the best prepare, the worst. I am a bit of a pessimist. I'm right there with you. I am obviously the most pessimist thing, which is why everybody always complains on my videos like, oh, be more happy, but it's just not me. It made your show... well, thank you. I think that... Yeah, it's a very dumb argument. But as far as all of that, I think the only other ones that are interesting to me is I heard a rumor of the Knights of Ren. I still kind of like that Knights of Ren thing. I think that has so much possibility to it. I would think that it would be really cool if you used that Acolytes of the Beyond from the Aftermath series, which the Aftermath series wasn't any good. But the Acolytes of the Beyond were interesting. And if you can have Kylo, because they worship like Sith users, and Snoke get Kylo to kind of oversee them because we know he's the master of the Knights of Ren. And then you could send him back to where Vader's castle is. And you can have a great set piece there. And it can all be about Kylo training them up as well as Kylo finding holograms and like different things like old Sith artifacts that they can use to begin to teach themselves up, and it can really begin to teach up how the Sith train, how the Sith learn, what are their teachings. A lot of things that we haven't learned in the movies before, which they should have done in The Last Jedi but didn't. But this you could do in a TV show spread out over a period of time. And Adam Driver obviously is down for TV shows. He can stop doing that stupid show Girls and do something like that. Could possibly be interesting, and to me could add some intrigue to this sequel stuff, because that's about it for the intrigue. Other than it seems like they're trying to bring Thrawn in now as like an after thing. Supposedly, you know, Thrawn, there's another book coming out, and it's going to be more after Return of the Jedi. And it seems like they're hinting at the fact that they may very well be trying to put Thrawn in there as the return, just way too late and just ham-fisted instead of giving fans what they wanted to begin with. But the other one is the Darth Bane series, which I am 100% a fan of. I think it would be brilliant, especially if Benioff and Weiss, the Game of Thrones guys, if their series is the Old Republic, or if their series is following Revan, which I kind of feel like that's probably what they're going to do, because they're not smart. They can't come up with their own stories. I already did this video before. If you look at any screenwriting that they did on their own, it's terrible. But if you give them a lot of work that was done and created by somebody else that knows what they're doing and can create characters, they're really good at picking the pieces and then putting it together in a show, which is what they did with Game of Thrones, which is why the last season a lot of people had issues with, because they ran out of George R.R. Martin's material and really started to kind of pull a Rian Johnson on the whole thing and flip-flop on the whole concept of how the show works. But this isn't a Game of Thrones video right now, but I think they'll do a Revan type thing, and then so that would leave, I think doing a Darth Bane and having Tom Hardy do it would be great, because then again you get to set up some of that Sith teachings and help understand and explain the Rule of Two for some people that don't understand the Rule of Two, and kind of reset that now that these idiots are trying to get away from the Rule of Two and just everybody and anyone can be running around doing everything, and it just does not make sense. Yeah, Knights of the Old Republic would be absolutely amazing. I feel like if they do that, what's up, Doc Holliday? Yeah, I've been frozen in carbonite for quite a while. But I think the Knights of the Old Republic, I think that the Game of Thrones guys had so much power coming off of that show being so big. And at that point, Kathleen Kennedy was a little low when they signed them. It was kind of like their big announcement because everything was going bad with a lot of things. Like there was a lot of negative kind of talk going around that I think they probably worked out a deal that gave them a lot of leeway and power. And despite Kathleen Kennedy still being president, she doesn't seem like she has the power she once had. Bob Iger's overseeing almost all of Episode 9. J.J. Abrams is going directly to him to talk about everything. So I think that when all things are said and done, I think they're going to have some freedom to do their own stuff with Knights of the Old Republic. At least that's my hope. I want to try to find some optimistic thing in here until I'm proven wrong. So we'll see. I am a little bit nervous about some of the politics possibly that could happen with some of the way some things went in Game of Thrones, but it was never blatantly terrible in my mind. So I don't know. We'll see. I still need to get my ideas and feel and know whether or not they're actually doing that. I don't know if you heard though. Speaking of Knights of the Old Republic, BioWare was trying to do a new game, and EA Sports just shut it down. And that's another topic I want to talk about that's been in the news is EA Sports being so terrible, and they need to just be removed from having their rights. Gary Whitta, who was a co-writer for Rogue One and is like a co-editor for PC Gamer, he talked about the movie or the game that they just canceled, which was the one that Amy Hennig was working, who came over from Uncharted. And it was supposed to be like Star Wars Uncharted. And it was supposed to be a character somewhat like Han Solo, and he was going to go around and have to deal with smuggling and heists and getting around crime syndicates and all that stuff. And it sounded incredible. And Gary Whitta said it was absolutely amazing, that they were pretty far along in the game, and he got to see it. He said it was absolutely terrific. And he's saying that EA should lose their license for Star Wars strictly for this. And of course, I guess you got to trust whether or not it was that good. It sounds like it was that good. I know Star Wars fans are really wanting to bring back that type of story into the video games. I've never been a big gamer. Not really play much. My girlfriend loves gaming, so I'm starting to get into it. But these games were something that I wanted to play, something that told a story. I don't want to just play Battlefront. And the first one, the reason that I canceled is they wanted to rush to try to get a game out by the end of this year. But they rushed Battlefront 1, and that was just a catastrophe. I mean, yeah, they made a lot of money because everybody was wanting the game, but like then everybody complained. And then Battlefront 2 came out, and it was an okay story, I guess, not really. And then people complained about the pay-for-play and the microtransactions. And then everybody's happy about this game, and everybody was happy about 1313. It like took over E3 back in 2012, but then they stopped doing it. They were just like, they never brought it up again. And it's just, it doesn't make any sense. And the other game that was canceled was another open world game. And a lot of people thought it might be the 1313. It was another thing where it's supposed to be a bounty hunter or a Han Solo type, and you're just maneuvering around the world and trying to making it in this kind of grimy, dirty part of Star Wars that we don't get to see that much. That I think would have been beautiful and amazing in a Star Wars game. I mean, you could almost see that open world game as like a Red Dead Redemption meets Star Wars. Both of those games already killed it. If you could do those in somewhat of a version with Star Wars, the amount of money you could make is insane. Yet EA is screwing everything up left and right. Now this Jedi Fallen Order or whatever, hopefully that will be good. But it shouldn't be expected to be good, not with the way that Star Wars or EA has been doing it so far. I mean, I would say Star Wars needs to remove everyone and then remove EA and then start their own kind of, thing again. The problem with that is I don't trust the story team to be any better than EA. So, but yeah, as far as talking about Knights of the Old Republic, I don't know if you heard about that, but BioWare was trying to make another game, and they got it canceled. But I hate that these games are canceled because I wanted to start gaming some, and I could even have done stuff on the channel. But the games that interest me, they're being canceled for some stupid reason. Let's see. I think I'm monetized. I don't know. Sketch. I ended up getting copyright struck by the Weinstein Company because of my Bride versus Ray video, even though it's perfectly fair use. I got copyright struck, and it's much longer after the fact. So they had to literally go in there personally to strike it, which mind-boggling to me that happened. I guess because Harvey Weinstein isn't able to do any more casting couch episodes, or he's not around running around raping girls or trees and whatever, that he had time to be able to try to find my video. But I think ultimately my channel is still monetized. I think so. I'm live. I don't think I could run live if I'm not able to do monetized. What's up, Native Freedom? Good to see you back again, or I guess me be back and see you on the channel. Good to see you as well. I think if BioWare does it, Red Dead Tatooine. Yeah, I need to go back and play almost all of those games because I played almost no Star Wars games. As I said, I was never a gamer. The only games I ever played was sports stuff. So I definitely want to get back to it. My girlfriend's trying to get me to play all these games as well. Lucasfilm needs Lucas back and then clean house and stop buying comments. Yeah, story group's awful. But as far as I know, Sketch, I should be able to, I should be monetized and good to go on all of that. But the other thing that, there's one other really big story, and I missed it, and I'm sure everybody else covered it night and day with all of the news, and that is the wonderful Mr. Chuck Wending getting fired. That was beautiful to watch and beautiful to experience. Obviously, Chuck Wending's just a douchebag. He's the one that did the Aftermath books. And when the first one came out, he complained because everybody hated on it. Because everybody loved Thrawn and everybody loved what Zahn did. And Zahn's a great writer. And Wending's just not. His first book, it was so weird. They had these huge interludes or cuts just randomly where it'd just be some random story. And it barely made sense by the end of it. But it would just be this little quick little cut of some random thing. And then his characters are just not interesting. Snap Wexley, there's no intrigue at all with him. And the only character that had any real interest to him at all was the one that he said everybody hated the book over, which was Sanjit Ratvilas or something along that line. It's been so long since I've looked at the books. But Imperial officer that ran away from the Imperials and now kind of joined back up with them and helped out the rebels towards the end. Or I guess they weren't rebels at that point, the New Republic. But the character ended up being gay. And he said that's why everybody hated it. Because, of course, that's why. It's the same thing. Like, oh, you hate the entire book because I put one gay character that you didn't even realize was gay until the very end of the book. And so now I hate it. It's so stupid. It's so dumb. It was the best character he created. And further on, it was the best character. But even if you go to like Collider and some of the more left-leaning sites out in Hollywood, they still hated on that book when it first came out. They still said it was terrible. Afterwards, they liked the rest of the stuff, which I agreed with. The rest of them were better than the first. The second one was the best out of them, I believe. The third one was whatever. But he tried to do all that, and then he, of course, always pokes on everybody, trying to cause trouble. He's just a troll. That's all he is an unfunny, unclever troll. But somebody made a t-shirt parodying him, and he sues them because that's what you do when you're that pathetic. Maybe he got some money out of it since he can't make any money off of doing Star Wars comics anymore or Star Wars books or probably any book that's worth reading of anybody's time. But it was during the whole Kavanaugh thing that he had just this freak out where he was telling everybody, we can't be civil, we've got to go nuts. And, of course, he's always just uber political. It's really kind of ironic and funny actually in my mind, but I just want to talk on some of the hypocrisy of it because I'm sure everyone else already covered it, and I'm sure everyone here knows that he was fired and kind of what went on. But I just find it funny that right after it was happening and they found out that Kavanaugh was going to, be accepted, and he basically didn't believe Christine Blasey Ford, he said, note, this is because he had said, like, oh, we can't be civil anymore. They're going to ask us to be civil, but there's no more to be civil because your civility gives them cover for their evil. So then he said, note, this is not the same as calling for violence. It's funny usage of language because he's a writer. That's what he does for a living. So he understands how he wrote this out. Because what he didn't say is, note, this is not a call for action. He says, note, this isn't the same as calling for violence. Which is interesting because as it goes forward, he says, but is suggesting that you should not be ashamed for using vigorous, vulgar language or standing up in disobedience or demanding acknowledgement and action in whatever way you must. That last little bit is very fitting for the beginning of that tweet because he says this isn't the same as calling for violence. But he doesn't say this isn't calling for violence. And then he says, demanding action in whatever way you must. Well, what if the only way you must is being violent? Like we've seen time and time again with people like Antifa and stuff like that end up going and attacking and doing things that, if not violent to a person, is at least destroying buildings and areas around. And somebody like him is definitely on the side of Antifa. So when you say this isn't the same as calling for violence, but you must do whatever you must, that's basically calling for violence, but you're using a little writer's way of sneakily getting away with it, where you can claim like, oh no, that's not what I meant. That's not what I meant. It's a joke. But then to prove his point that he's no chicken, he's not going. He is not afraid or ashamed into not using vigorous, vulgar language. So his next response, by his beautiful writing, just beautiful. I'll try to read it as eloquently as I imagine him saying it, because this isn't angry ranting by some loser. This is beautiful writing, and this is why he should be brought back to do comics and books, because he's such a good writer. F Trump. But he's just an ugly, fake gold mask they've put on this thing. F all the GOP. F that blubbering, bristling, frat boy judge. F McConnell, Ryan, Grassley, Collins, every last one of them. F them all for how they've shamed victims and helped dismantle democracy. Brilliant. I mean, when you're a writer that's been working for so long and you brag about how good of a writer you are on so many occasions, you really can tell it when every one of your adjectives and everything that you bring up is just F. F this, F this, F that. When I'm walking down the street and there's a drunk hobo downtown and he's just yelling out F all the time, I'm like, is that Aristotle? This must be some deep philosopher, because only smart people, a child could never do this. There's no 13 or 14-year-olds walking around just saying F everything. But that would never happen, because only smart people can use that word. Chuck Wending is definitely not a 12-year-old that just learned how to cuss, and so now he uses it all the time. I mean, it's ultimately why he's more successful than I am. I mean, I don't really curse on my channel, and if I did, if I was able to use such beautiful language as, as he uses, the F Trumps and all that, I probably would be much more successful. I probably would be able to convey my ideas and thoughts to a much wider audience and, express the intelligence that I have. I mean, I'm sitting in a leather chair here, so that's really the only thing missing from just that classy, beautiful kind of rhetoric that I could kind of give and offer out to kind of express my own feelings, because he did it so brilliantly here. I do find one other little hypocritical thing here. Obviously, he hates Trump. Everyone knows it. So that would mean he voted for Hillary. I find that ironic because he says F them for how they've shamed victims. Okay, so let's just play this out a little bit. I'm going to try to stay as unpolitical as possible in this, but he's defending Christine Blasey Ford in this for being a victim. Very, not much evidence. There was no court that would say it was true. She couldn't even remember most of it, and it happened many years ago, and she couldn't even remember the year at one point or how she got there, anything like that. Whether or not that's true, that's that evidence. And you're saying all this stuff you're talking about, but you voted for Hillary, who knowingly worked with a rapist who brutally raped a young girl, very young girl. And you knew it happened because there's video of her laughing about it and saying when he got off and the lie detector did not catch him, she knew that she could never trust those again, which means she knew he did it. And then she basically tried to slut shame like a 10-year-old girl and basically shame. But no, you're gonna go with that. And that's not even adding all the other stuff with the Clintons and all these rumors that are basically the equivalent of the Christine Blasey Ford on the level of amount of evidence we have is with all these other different women that have come out and said that, Hillary, Bill raped them and then Hillary shamed them and prevented them from ever saying anything or doing anything about it. But no, yeah, it's just, F all the people that shame victims. I don't think I've seen a tweet about that, Chuck Wending, about you hating on your side, or maybe you're just biased or hypocritical or don't really pay attention to facts or logic or truth. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. But he followed up his rant on F everyone with a beautiful follow-up of they can eat S, all of them. They can eat boot covered in S. I want to clarify for him because I know this is what he means. When he says you can eat a boot covered in dog crap, he's not meaning like kick somebody in the face with a boot of dog crap, or how some people will talk about when they're really mad, like curbing a guy, or don't kick him in the face, or anything like that. What he means is like y'all can go and do what most people do on a normal daily basis, and that's take your boots out and rub it in dog crap and then just eat it. But that's what you can do. I mean, it's a great comeback. It's really good. He should continue working on some of these witty comments he has. The next one he has, again, that's not a call to violence though, because like we said before, this is not the same as calling for violence. So we know that's not what he's doing there. Finally, he says, winter is coming. This one is actually great. I got to give him props where props are due. This shows his writing ability. Winter is coming, you callous F-necks, you prolapsed a-holes, you grotesque monsters, you racist and rapists and wretched abusers, you vengeful petty whores. I mocked him for only using the F word repeatedly earlier. But this one, bravo, sir. Bravo on really just expressing everything possible. I mean, you callous F-necks, you prolapsed a-holes, you grotesque monsters. I mean, that sentence alone probably got him the job for writing comics, because the way you express that and explain that so beautifully is one of a kind. I mean, it's absolutely beautiful. I got to give him props for that. That one, all the other ones are lame. All the other ones are terrible. But that one, bravo, Chuck. Bravo, Chuck. But one little thing I was confused about. Winter is coming. Seems to be a pretty obvious reference to Game of Thrones. But I know he says this isn't a call to violence, but Game of Thrones, winter is coming. That's a reference to like zombies coming and killing like everyone. Like they say that no one survives the winter. That everyone's going to die. I mean, that's pretty violent. It almost seems like it's like a threat of some sort. Like winter is coming. Like, be prepared, you callous F-necks. But I'm sure that's not what it is. I'm sure, because Chuck's a good guy. I mean, he's a nice, swell guy. Like, he really cares, as we saw before. Like, he cares so much. I mean, later on he talks about global warming, climate change, or whatever it's called. He talked about kids in cages, which is so stupid because it's just not the case. But all these very important things. So he cares. He cares a lot. I can't remember the other stuff he put, but I love the kids in cages thing. That was hilarious. But winter's coming, so what he's probably doing is he's just trying to inform the callous F-necks and prolapsed a-holes that it's going to be cold outside, guys. I mean, this was in October when this happened, so I imagine he's just being a nice guy, being like, hey, I may think you're a callous F-neck and a prolapsed a-hole, but don't be cold, dude. I don't want you to get sick. It sounds like I'm getting sick because I don't have any water and my voice is giving out. So that's brilliant. So if I would have known this, winter's coming, I mean, I saw it and I got my jackets on so that I wouldn't be cold. So that's probably what it is. It probably has absolutely nothing to do with the fact that that's a threat of, killing people, essentially. Because he would never talk about threatening to kill anyone. And so the next day he posted a thing and just asked if he could borrow someone's truck and a shovel because he has some bodies here. Maybe. I mean, that could be anything. It could be anything. It's probably not because winter came and people are dead and he's wanting to shovel them. I mean, he is talking about, we need the passion in your blood, and also I need to, it's a strange world. People have gone mad. We need your heart, your fight, your spirit. Yeah, the problem here with this one, I mean, I don't care. I believe in free speech, so let him talk, because then I can just mock how stupid he is and how his arguments have no logic or point behind them. So I don't care about that. I don't want him kicked off of Twitter. I had that argument, or not argument, but somebody said that when I did my video on Rose Teeka, where basically said, like, if you are the one that's going after her and actually being racist and all that stuff, and a lot of people said that they thought it was BS, that it was fake, that she wasn't actually mistreated like that, and that's possible. But I've always been, on my videos, always just going at everyone with the leftist SJW stuff and just kind of calling their stuff trash. I go after Forbes articles and stuff where they say stuff about white men and all this stuff. I've always broke those down. And so when this came out, I felt like for my channel to be balanced and express how I won't feel, that I should make sure I'm clear on, like, in case anybody out there is actually doing that and you're actually being racist or you're actually mistreating or mistalking to someone, like I think it was System that said earlier, that, blame Rian Johnson for how her character is, because he created it. He wrote her lines. He told her what to do. He told her how to act. She just did it. But I just simply said, like, I don't agree with you. If you think this channel supports you, I don't. And was like, if you don't like the channel, disappear. And one guy got offended by that and thought like I was going against free speech. Will, I hope maybe you're watching this. You said you were going to take me by my word and stop following me, which is unfortunate if you misunderstood what I'm saying, because you said that you just believed in free speech, which I do too. I never said ban these people. And I'm not saying ban Chuck Wending, but I do think that I think he should have the right. I do think that is kind of obviously he's trying to sneak around calling for violence, but I don't care because they're a bunch of pansies. They're not going to do anything anyways. But I hope it's a call to violence, strictly because if not, it's one of the worst jokes ever. If he's trying to be funny, it's so bad. I mean, his tweet is Monday, the world is strange, gone mad, and we need you. We need your heart, your fight, your spirit. We need your voice, your ideas, your love. We need the fire you breathe, the passion in your blood. Also, I need to borrow your truck and a shovel because I have some bodies here. Like, it's like you're trying to act all like, oh, I'm a poet and all Shakespearean and crap. with this speech, and they go, oh, and also I need a shovel and a truck because I got some bodies over here. It's not funny. It's not even clever. There's nothing to it, other than the fact of like you or your mom don't have a truck that you can borrow. I mean, okay. I don't know if he thinks that maybe he's so clever and he's like destroyed so many people on Twitter, like that he's just like, rocking them. I don't know if he think maybe he got Trump and all the GOP with his F comments, and they were just like, oh my God, somebody used the F word before our names. Like, how can we ever react? And they were so overdone by his brilliant responses and comebacks and just lines that they were just like, they just collapsed. They couldn't handle it. It was like the Thanos snap. They were just done for because he so well did it. Now, he got the callous F-necks. He did get them. And the prolapse a-holes. Those two he got. So maybe that's who he's talking about. Or maybe it was a call to violence. I don't know. But he got fired right after it. The next thing he posted was, today I got a call, I'm fired because of negativity and vulgarity that my tweets bring. Seriously? That's what Mark said. I mean, you're working for Disney. It's the House of Mouse. The argument him and many other people had when people didn't like The Last Jedi, was like, it's a kid's movie, man. Don't get all jealous. Oh, what is you, little baby? Why don't you grow up? It's a kid's movie. It's for kids. Yeah, okay, it's for kids. And you're surprised if it is for kids. And you're writing comics as well. That you went on an F-word tirade against every half of government, or more than half of government. And against anyone that supports them. And then wrote your best tweet you've ever written, which I covered earlier. And you don't think that Disney's not going to be like, you know what? This isn't really, this doesn't fit kind of our idea, like how we want to represent ourselves. I mean, they let him go on like this forever because clearly their politics are similar to his politics. But when you go off on a rampage like that, you've got to consider like the idea that like there might be some kids that look at this. And if you're Disney, you can't have that. Or parents that aren't going to like their kids possibly seeing this. It just makes sense. It's the same thing with the James Gunn thing, which I'll get to a little bit later because it fits with where I'm going from this and the hypocrisy of all of that. But I just love the fact that he's like, seriously? Can you believe somebody said I was vulgar? I mean, that's insane. That's insane. I mean, I don't see how they said it either. But then he responds there and goes, basically because I wasn't civil. That's why. Maybe you shouldn't tell everybody else how to be civil then. Because you say you can still write books to make money. But these other people that are living in their parents' basements or basically never worked a job or hoping that Bernie or somebody is going to, or Alexandria Cortez is going to pay them for, even though they're unwilling to work, and then they'll be able to go to college for free and get their health care for free and then get a paycheck when they're not willing to work, and all those types of people. Maybe you shouldn't tell them that be as vulgar as possible and to not be civil because it might affect their lives and their jobs. Just an idea. Maybe being a little more mature with things might help. But then again, maturity has never come real strong or well for you there, has it, Chuck? So I want to follow that last little bit up with the hypocrisy of everything that's already been said. But when he got fired, there was an uproar with everyone. They were saying, we need to bring Chuck back. This is unfair. They talked about boycotting. Ironically, that lasted like 30 seconds, even though they tried to make fun of the boycott that happened with Solo, that it didn't happen at all. I mean, every other Star Wars movie's made $1 billion, and Solo barely cracked over 300 million, but it has nothing to do with people saying that there's a boycott. But this huge boycott that they did, because they can never, I mean, it's funny because they talk about boycotting and then it's like, oh, but now there's work and I have to do something. Boycott over with. So they all fought for him to be there, just like they fought for James Gunn. Both of them, again, work for Disney. Ironically, a kids thing. I do believe, I've heard arguments on both sides. I haven't paid that much attention to it. iDubbbz did a video on it that I saw where he talked about James Gunn. He said it was clearly a joke. So Sure, it was a joke, but you've got to understand if you're James Gunn that you can't joke about kids in that way if you're doing movies for Disney. I mean, I think it's just a horrible, poor taste to begin with. But I'm trying to be on the benefit here because of where I'm headed with this. But you made sexual jokes, basically. I don't remember the jokes, that's what I'm saying. Basically, they may have definitely been sexual jokes about kids. And you're fired from a company that makes almost all its money off of kid stuff. And y'all are going to be mad. So then in comes Rachel Butera. I think that's how you say your name. Sorry, you're not watching this. I know I'm telling you sorry. She does the voice of Leia in the new Resistance thing. And she's an impressionist. On her Twitter, she likes to do a lot of different impressions, try to be funny and stuff like that. And this is during the Kavanaugh hearing as well. And she decided to do an impression of Christine Blasey Ford. Not good timing, obviously. I get it. If you've heard Christine Blasey Ford talk, it's very much a voice that's like calling to be imitated. If she was in a different situation, SNL would 100% do it. I mean, it's the same with Trump. He's too easy not to try to imitate him because of the way he talks and acts. It's begging for it. Probably not smart to do it when the scenario was at hand as it is, but she did do it. It's her right, again, free speech, I think it is. And I don't think she was being offensive in any way, but I'll let you be the judge of that. But she goes, in the voice on Twitter, she did a voice like Christine Blasey Ford, and she said, I just have this kind of voice, like a baby. Even though I'm a doctor and I'm on this media circus, political stage, and I have kids myself, that I don't know why I speak with vocal fry. And then goes, I can't believe this is my voice. Can you? Dr. Christine Blasey Vocal Fry Ford. And then she finishes it with, I sound like I'm back at that high school party. And of course, there was just an uproar, and they lost it. People were calling for her to be fired like crazy. We got to get rid of her. You don't deserve to be Princess Leia. All this stuff. And so her response was, fairly quickly, I'm seriously sorry. I honestly didn't think that this would offend anyone. I just thought I was imitating the voice. I was by no means mocking a rape victim. I'm 100% on Christine Blasey Ford's side. I am just a vocal impressionist and decided to imitate her voice. But it was a mistake. I apologize, and I believe all women. Clearly from this, I mean, if you understand how reasonable and understanding people like Chuck Wending are, and other people on her side, on his side, her side, they just let it go, and they're like, "Oh, okay. She said that she didn't mean it, so she didn't mean it. So that's that, and it's all over, and we can move on." And so everybody moved on, and nothing ever came of it, except for it didn't change anything, and everybody just kept going after her and said, "We don't care about your apology. It doesn't matter." Ironically, even though she apologized, it seemed heartfelt to me. It seemed sincere, unless she is just the ultimate troll and was just playing everybody and ended her troll with "believe all women," which would be brilliant if she did, because again, the hypocrisy of them is the whole thing with the Christine Blasey Ford. Not the whole thing, but a big thing was, we need to believe all women. She said it, so you need to believe it. And then it comes down to the fact that she says that she didn't do it. So shouldn't they just believe her? Because she's a woman. She's not going to lie. You believe her. You believe all women. So it's either the ultimate troll that she says believe all women, knowing that they won't believe her, or she's serious and she's on their side, but they don't care because she was slightly in the wrong at the wrong time, and they're not going to give her a break on that at all. So, but the hypocrisy of it is the fact that the believe all women stuff, but the hypocrisy on all these sides is they want her fired. She needs to be fired because she imitated a voice of a grown woman. She imitated the voice of a grown woman. But James Gunn made jokes about children in inappropriate ways. But he needs to be back. That's absurd that he could ever be removed. Everybody's fighting for him to be back. And the same with Chuck Wending, just going on a tirade of swearing, cursing, and calling out everybody and basically making calls to violence. But this woman who made it imitation because she's a vocal impressionist. She does imitations. But the others don't. There's no level of hypocrisy here. Again, I don't think the firing, that's not my choice to decide. I'm not somebody my bills aren't being paid by these people making decisions. Again, I'll just reiterate because it was confused once and I never want that to happen again. I'm all pro free speech, so I don't care. I don't want them hindered or taken off, but she was taken off. She took her own self off, though, of Twitter because she was harassed so horribly. For one day, she was off Twitter. Hypocrisy, anyone? Does anyone else recognize the hypocrisy there of the Kelly Marie Tran thing? Where 1,000 articles, they're still writing articles to this day talking about her being harassed off of Instagram, which took months and months to happen. And she was in one of the biggest movies of the year. And now this woman, who's in a small animated show on Star Wars, is being harassed off of Twitter in one day. There's no hypocrisy there. There's no hypocrisy of the endless amount of articles written about Kelly Marie Tran, but absolutely, like, I think I found 2 about this woman. There's no fights about how dare they come in and act and treat people like this and run a woman off of that. That's not sexist. It's not sexist for them because they're just doing it because they believe something. It has nothing to do with their gender. Now, when we say that, we're called liars. When we say it has nothing to do with gender or race or anything like that. But when they do it, there's no hypocrisy in any of this. But anyways, those are basically all the news that I want to cover at this point. There's a lot of comments down. Some comments I'll get to. If you got any questions or whatever, my phone's dying, so I'll go as long as I can to be able to try to get this all gone through. Thank you guys all for watching. Glad to be back again. I'll be trying to post every day from this point on. Hopefully the videos will be a lot better at going forward. I have quite a few ideas that I want to be able to work with. Like I mentioned before, I'm moving in. Every room is chaos right now. I've got my TV right there sitting on my couch. I've got a computer halfway built that I've got to put back together. I've got a saw in the middle of the living room and a barrel for fixing concrete right there. So it's utter chaos right now. So I'll be doing my best, but be making sure to try to get back to doing videos and stuff like that. Anything else y'all want me to talk about that I haven't talked about, throw it in the comments. It's going to be hard for me to get in comments right now. I'm working, which is another reason why I haven't been doing videos. I've been working about 120 hours or so a week recently for the past few months. So I just haven't had time. What little time I've had, I've spent on other things because Star Wars hasn't exactly been something that's made me happy lately. So, yeah. But anyways, let me see what else are in the comments. I'm not looking forward to episode 9 unless they act like The Last Jedi didn't happen. Yeah, it's interesting with some of the comments, Doc Holliday. From what I've seen in articles, a lot of talk has been about that everybody's been talking about a course correction, which I don't know. I mean, I don't trust it at all. I'm leaning towards, especially for my channel and stuff like that, I probably will go see it. If some boycotters get mad about that, I understand. Like, I support it, obviously, the boycott and all that. For me, where I'm at right now, just to be open on my thoughts, I'll probably go see it so I can review it. And then also, partially, this could be the last Star Wars movie that has a crawl. And just that opening intro, I may not be able to get it in theaters again and experience that live. And even though I may end up just storming out of there as furious as can be by the end of it, like I did with The Last Jedi. Because it was literally The Last Jedi. The first word spoken I was done with the, like, I knew the movie was going to be horrible. The mom joke, I was just like, so, but I'm probably going to go watch it, but I'm definitely not expecting much. We'll have to see. Chuck is a poor author. That was only good because he was a good boy and play. Exactly. I didn't hear about Carrie Hart. That's interesting. I didn't know about that system. I didn't know that she has been kicked out. That I am. I'll have to look into that. Um, Yes, Collider is falling apart. Doc Holliday. I used to watch that all the time. It used to be something I watched almost every day. Uh, I really liked it, which basically the schmo started running it. I've never been a fan of John Campea. I thought he was okay while working with a bunch of people, but clearly he's got problems that he can't work with people. He's had to quit and come back like 3 or 4 times, but it really started to fall away. I stopped watching. I haven't watched them in so long. I got to the point where I occasionally would watch some of their movie questionnaire things just because I love movies and I want to see how I could do. And then I watched some of their Star Wars stuff, but man, I stopped that a long time ago, especially when they really got into the Last Jedi stuff, and you had them talking about that the Last Jedi was one of the best movies. I just couldn't do it. Christian Harloff stuck to his guns a little bit more. He kind of kowtowed a bit, but you could always tell that he really didn't like the Last Jedi, but he kind of had to try to play it off like, oh, I don't know, it's not my favorite, but it's not bad. I definitely don't hate it. But I mean, I get why people don't really like it. Like, but you had Mark and them that were just saying that, oh, I like the part when Luke Skywalker tossed the lightsaber. I was like, all right, I'm done with y'all, and bailed out. It's unfortunate because I definitely liked Collider. Yeah, I don't know. I have to check it. Sketch. I don't know why. Who knows? Maybe you would be paying Weinstein's anyway. Thanks a lot, Gary Blue. Yeah, it's been a while. Oh, that team with Martin Day Brown search the Yelp. Exactly right, Lorderman. Hey, Chad, if y'all got Twitter and you would be so kind to hit the share button, you heard the man. They're doing the copyright strike sounds on those critics. Thanks a lot, Sketch. Definitely need to get in the comments and try to let some people know that I'm back. What do you guys think about Captain Marvel? Doc, I haven't paid attention to anything. I talked a little bit to Entertainment Hacker. He had an email, so he was emailing me while I was out, trying to get me to come back for probably about 4 months now. And he was telling me about the Captain Marvel stuff. And that was part of the reason why I was considering coming back now, is I wanted to be able to do a Star Wars thing and come back before possibly reviewing Captain Marvel. Because I got interested in the Infinity War and wanted to kind of review and go back over the Marvel, because I've never cared about Marvel till this point. But I haven't looked at anything with the Captain Marvel, but I've heard quite a bit now. And a lot of it's from political channels. I started listening to Tim Pool recently. I don't know if any of y'all know who he is. Don't really agree with a lot of his stuff. He's a liberal, but he's more in the middle. He's anti-SJW and stuff. He was on Joe Rogan's podcast, and I wanted to, I try to listen to both sides, and so if I can find anybody somewhat reasonable that is on the left, I like to try to listen to them from time to time to keep me balanced, so that I don't really go to any side. I'm a libertarian, so 90% of the time I just don't agree with anyone. But he was talking about the Marvel stuff and how all this man-hating stuff, where she said stuff about not wanting more white men to come and do the tour stuff, and just a lot of stupid crap. She's a hardcore feminist, and so there's a lot of boycotts and people doing. I saw some of the stuff where they said Rotten Tomatoes, they changed their rules again. It's like the Amy Schumer thing with Netflix. So they were moving it because stupid articles were trying to write that people were bombing it to make the movie look like it was terrible. And they were reviewing it before they ever saw it. Except for they weren't reviewing it, you bunch of idiots. All they were doing was there's a thing that you can click on whether or not you want to see the movie. And they were saying they didn't want to see the movie. And people are like, oh, they're bombing it. No, that's how many people don't want to see the movie. If y'all want to fix it, send all your SJW feminist people out there to go out there and say all of you want to watch it. and beat the numbers if that's how it is. But it seems like your numbers are losing. It's the same thing they're already starting to say for episode 9, apparently. I saw one article about that apparently episode 9, a lot of people are clicking on the not wanting to see thing. But I haven't seen any trailers. I haven't seen any footage. I haven't heard anything that Brie Larson said. I liked her in The Room. I thought that movie was good. Outside of that, I don't know anything. I've heard. All I've done is I've heard stuff. So I don't have that strong of opinion. But I've literally not seen a trailer. I haven't seen any footage of anything. So outside of everything I just rambled on about, I don't really have an opinion on it so far. I love to be sarcastic as well. I haven't been as sarcastic. I'm in a better mood now. But anybody that was at the beginning of this video would have saw that this has just been the worst experience ever trying to get everything going. With 3 times I filmed, and one time the camera broke, the other 2 times it died, and another time it ran out of storage and cut off the footage. And then I tried to run live like 3 times and messed up. So my humor or my attitude or me being lively has not been up so far this video. So hopefully from this point on, it will be, as I go forward with the rest of my videos, and can be more myself and not be ready to punch a hole through a wall before I try to film and act like I'm not the most angry person in the world when I start filming. Unreasonable in the case, man. As good as Kavanaugh did any of that. What a writer. He makes my stomach hurt with herky jerky. Sounds like he was reading off his browser history. Obama's kids occasion. Exactly, Sketch. That was definitely what winter's coming for him. It came for him. He's done. Huh, I didn't know that, Lordaman, that she said that it wasn't about toxic fans, it was over society and media. Yeah, it would be so annoying to deal with everyone. Like, I don't get it. I mean, I guess if you're in Hollywood and you want to play that route, if you're Kelly Marie Tran, where you can play like, oh, I'm the Asian girl, so there's not enough Asian girls, so you got to hire me. But for me, personally, man, I would just hate that. I would want to be like, oh, you're an incredible actress. So why won't we want you in our stuff? It's like, for me, you know, they want to talk about these actors and actresses, and Laura Dern's a talented actress, but her character was just awful. And this Oscar Isaac's a phenomenal actor. John Boyega is a talented actor. I mean, if they would have take out Ray and put Alicia Vikander. I didn't see Tomb Raider, but I heard it wasn't that good. But she's just phenomenal actress. If you haven't seen Ex Machina and her in that, it was unbelievable. It was so good. And if she was in that role, it would have been unbelievable. There would be no complaint. The complaints are for the writing and stuff like that. But I just don't get this thing where it would annoy me if media tried to force this concept or idea of, oh, I'm this random minority. Like, you break it down to, we're supposed to be the racist because we don't like The Last Jedi, but we're not the one that break everything down to gender and color. Like, oh, she is a female Asian. Why isn't she Kelly Marie Tran? Why isn't that who she is? Why can't you base it off of what she's done? Egalitarianism, not this stupid victimhood and stuff. And to me, that bothers me. If that's why, or maybe I'm misreading what you said, Doc, or no, it was Lordaman, then I 100% agree. She has nothing to do with any of this stuff. And if it wasn't her choice, that sucks, and I would probably get off social media as well. I don't get on social media. I have an Instagram, I have a Twitter. If y'all want to start following it, I might start doing stuff, but I never post on any of those things because I hate it. I hate it all. I didn't have a phone for 4 years, if you want to get an idea of me and my talking on social media. I prefer to live in the real world and accomplish things and do things with my hands and not talk on I talk on this, and that's why like all my stuff's not edited, and I just free flow and talk, and that's what I do my videos on, because that's just not me. So I don't get all of this other stuff. My girlfriend says I'm an old man, which I guess I am. Dude, lost a dream job. Chuck is a doofus. I'm lost. Do you remember how Miles' Cultural Revolution went? I'll read that one later, sketch. It's funny. It's funny. I'm in a very Japanese sense. The punchline catches you out of nowhere, and it's a shocking misdirection of the whole joke that's supposed to make you laugh. I don't. Yeah, I mean, I get what you're saying, Drift. It kind of sounded funnier the second time I said it, but it's still, I can't give him credit on that. I gave him credit on one tweet. I can't give him credit on another one. Oh, yeah, well, I seriously doubt he understands East Asian comedy. I clearly understand it very well, so I get what you're saying. But most people don't. Most people aren't elevated up to this level. Despite his ability to use the F word endlessly, I don't think he's elevated to that. Comics books are weird. The guy who made Gwenpool and Spider-Man, I forget who, tweeted his fingle-buried cornholio at the photo. Reviews politics that were vulgar. I'm not 100% sure. What's up, Galipo? Is that how you say it? Galipo? Galipo Rex? Let's see. AOC actually says the world will end in 10 years. Yeah, I saw that. That was amazing. She's fun. She's fun. I don't know if y'all watch. I've watched Steven Crowder from time to time, and one of the things he was talking about her, he was making fun of her, and he was saying how she's one of the dumbest human beings ever, and he's like, are we not allowed to say this? And he made a comment that I still laugh at, so I've got to do it. I want to start, I think I'm going to start mocking some leftists with this voice because it's just so brilliant, and doing tweets or just whatever I have to do to make fun of them. But he said, she looks like the type of girl that would just be like, what did he say? He goes, why is it called buffalo wings if it's made out of chicken? It's just like, that's what she seems like. She's so dumb. And she talks about that she's an economics major, I believe, or has an economics degree. And she knows nothing. And the world's going to end in 10 years. And that's hilarious. It's just, I'm not getting into politics on this channel. So I've gone too far. Yeah, but you're 100% right, Lorderman. Lorderman never takes a bet to Wall Street. I've always ways rule for you. Read says believe all women are all men who say they're women. You're back, not gonna lie. Look, he thought you did. Didn't die. Did not die, despite some rumors that I've heard. Other rumors that I was frozen in carbonite might be true. The Wikipedia was a hate hoax orchestrated by the Ward's Itchy Baka of Disney is done exposed it. Huh. Interesting system. I'll have to look at that. I did not know about that. I haven't paid, everything that's happened in the 6 months, literally all I've had to get the information about news that I put out in this video is I had Google alerts running on my phone all this time. I had 5,000 emails that I went through over the last 2 or 3 days and just picked out what interests me. I never saw anything about the Curie Heart. I've never heard a lot of the stuff that's being brought up. Was he in the same dungeon she put Lord Miller in? So if any information or things that I need to check up on, definitely comment and let me know, because I definitely have a lot to catch up on. Both moving and doing home repairs, sketch. I just, like I said, I moved again, and basically I just moved stuff into here. But I'm needing these walls echo like crazy. The road is right down there. I've got an open carport, and this door right behind here is as hollow as they come. And so there's the sound's terrible. This is not where I plan on filming. I've got my couch right over there, but like I said, there's TV and stuff over there. But I got a lot of stuff I'm trying to set up, but I've got to build everything. I moved to this place because the place I was at before was a smaller apartment, about half the price, but a smaller apartment. Um, but it was a duplex, so I was right next to somebody, so I couldn't film videos. So I want to set this up where I can really start doing a lot of videos and stuff, and I'm trying to work out my schedule to have more time to be able to do more stuff, so I can really start doing some stuff, doing some live Q&As. A lot of people asked about those beforehand, um, but I got to figure them out because right now I have my girlfriend's iPad sitting on top of the tripod, um, and with tape standing on each side so that it doesn't fall over. And then I have my Rode mic hanging off to the side, sitting on the arm of a chair because I don't have a mount for that iPad. So that's the setup I have right now. And the whole reason I'm holding this phone this whole time is to be able to make sure, read comments, and make sure I'm somewhat in focus itself. For it really bothers me that I think right here you can see the corner of the wall, and that drives me crazy. But I can't touch the screen, and now it's so weird watching myself on a 10-second delay. That's a lot of hours. Yeah, it is. It's a lie. They say they're course correcting, and they probably talk about you're a reviewer. This boycott doesn't apply to reviewers unless you choose to boycott. It's understandable. Well, thank you, Sketch Therapy. Collider muted my account every time I was critical. Really? That's just like, I've had so many people, and I've had long conversations. One woman endlessly calling me racist and like all this stuff. And I literally had like a 20 comment thread with her responding to every one of her stupid critiques until I finally got fed up with it. And that was one of the reasons, like, some of that stuff was why I started getting off of YouTube. Is like, I finally had one video like blow up and get 60,000 views, and I had another one like 10 or 12,000 views like shortly after each other. And then there were so many idiots commenting, and I had always commented and responded to everyone that had commented or posted anything. And so I felt bad not doing it, and I just got overblown, and then I'm trying to respond, and I always thought because I'm the person that wants to discuss or talk out everything and figure out what's right or wrong. Like, we solved this by actually having open thought, but that didn't work. That didn't work at all. Up, down to 10%. Hoth Rebel, what's up, man? It's been a while. What's the name of the Vader comet that will be coming out to replace Wendings? Dude, I don't know. I haven't been paying hardly any attention to anything. I'll definitely have to look and get back to it. I'm interested. I've heard a lot of the Vader stuff's been really good, but I haven't looked at a comic, haven't looked at a TV show, haven't looked at a trailer. I've literally not looked at anything. I've been to the movies 3 times, I think, since I got off. And I've hardly watched, I haven't watched anything. I haven't had a TV set up, or I've had no time. Yeah, man, it's crazy. They deleted Kira Hart like a Stalin purge, and there was no talk about it. But when people started asking questions, they suddenly announced she was moved on to a new role. That's interesting. Balance is good. I'm a centrist. I believe in non-aggressive. Yeah, non-aggressive principle. Agree to that. Do you keep up with Star Wars toys? Hasbro's releasing retro Star Wars figures using the old molds. I don't keep up with the toys, but I did see that when I was looking through a lot of the stuff. I'm not really that much of a toy person. I have a few things that I think are cool. But I am interested in that idea. I'd have to see it and look into it a little bit more, but obviously toys aren't my thing. So I would be interested to see what they look like. And I think it's a cool idea. I also realize it's just a straight up cash grab. If you're going to do that, then re-release the original trilogy, like non-special editions. That's what I want to see. Bump them up to 4K. I mean, I've had it on my computer, but I mean, it's been done by somebody else. Do it now. Like, it seems odd you want to bank off money on the original molds of toys, but you can't make the freaking movies. I would love to see, when episode 9 comes out, they re-release everything out in theaters. I would watch I would go and watch the original trilogy, no question. I would go watch the prequels. I'm not a prequels fan. I need to figure out be okay with it. I struggle with that. But, and I would watch Rogue One too. I would watch that through. I would love to see that in theaters again, especially updated. That would be amazing. Ever make a movie so bad that a review site destroys their entire rating system? Yeah, it's unbelievable. And the movie's not even out yet, but it's already doing that. There's been a lot of rumors and stuff that I've heard, but I won't get into those about Captain Marvel. Not angry, but man, it seemed like you went through torture in some of those book reads. I did. I went through absolute torture in some of them. I couldn't make it through some of them. I still haven't finished the solo books that I think I started on the channel, and I think that was another one where it was just like they released like 4 solo books at once, and everyone wanted a review of Solo. And in my mind, the worst thing about Solo was it was so mediocre because somebody like me couldn't hate on it. Like you couldn't explain why it was terrible. I did like an hour and a half long review, but like with The Last Jedi, I could just break down everything. And so it was so bad because it wasn't bad enough that people could blatantly destroy it. Like if you did, you kind of seemed like you were just petty. And I knew that, so I didn't want to just destroy it. But also you could enjoy it. Like I can't hate on somebody that hates it, and I can't hate on somebody that loves it. I understand the type of movie fan you are, if whichever way you go. But like I can imagine a lot of people that would love that movie because it's really turn your brain off and just watch the ride, and you can enjoy it. If that's the type of movie you like, you would like Solo. But I had to go through that and watch it, and there was just no payoff for me as far as breaking down anything. It was just so whitewashed. There was nothing to it. And then I had all those books to go through. And I had just finished up The Last Jedi. And before The Last Jedi, no, after The Last Jedi, you had The Last Jedi, which was terrible. The Last Jedi novel, which was terrible. You had Canto Bight, which was terrible. You had Cobalt Squadron, which was terrible. And then probably the worst book Star Wars has ever put out is The Legends of Luke Skywalker, which was terrible. Then they released all this solo books. The Most Wanted and Double or Nothing or something along those lines. I can't remember what it was. Both terrible. I was listening to another Star Wars podcast. I was trying to see if any podcasts are good. They aren't. At least I haven't found any Star Wars podcasts that are good. I'm thinking about starting a Star Wars podcast. I prefer the podcasting thing. Get somebody else on with me and just discuss Star Wars. But they put those 2 solo movies or books as their lowest, other than Heir of the Jedi, which was terrible. But yeah, it was miserable, but everyone was kind of enjoying it. And I mean, if people want me to do the book reviews, I'll go back to doing the book reviews. I don't mind it as much because at least I get to vent after the fact. Thanks, Dead Rebel Storage. Good to be back. I think you're an angry guy. I always tell you you're funny and informative. Thank you for not thinking I'm angry. You're looking forward to Spawn movie. Haven't paid any attention to that at all. Are you excited about my Farm Toys getting the DC license? Beyond me, TR Kobe. I don't know anything about either one of those. As far as the Spawn movie goes, I'd have to just know like who's all in it, what director. I don't know if there's anything out. I'm a bit of a Luddite. How is that? How do you even write for episode 9? Like, what's left? Ray doesn't even really have a goal. Yeah, it's almost more interesting to find out what in the world they can even do. Yeah, Sketch. I'm all into politics as well. I try to keep it off of the channel because I don't want that. Like, I thought about starting a political channel, but I just decided not to. And I didn't want to just like gulf this into one. I know other people have. I think that's kind of what comics, what's his name? Geeks and Gamers has kind of done from what I've seen. I don't watch anyone. I watch literally no other Star Wars channels or anything. I watch almost no YouTubers. There's a few. But yeah, I just, I try to keep mine out. But I would love to talk to you about it, maybe in some other format. Those shields have been run off YouTube now. Sorlo showed them what's up. Don't know what that one is. Carbonite, if GOL is truly back and he gives the BVS man Terrio free reign to reverse engineer everything, I think Lucas' original concept stands a chance. Yeah, that's very interesting. I don't know about how I feel with Chris Terrio, the guy that's helping write episode 9. Obviously, he's won an Oscar, so he's talented. BVS was crap, but we don't know how much of that was messed with. Good to see you back, George Barrett. But yeah, I'm interested. I think, I don't know, I'm torn. I don't want to sit there and think positively, but I also want to be fair to some extent because I don't want to ruin my credibility as reviewing things later on if I'm just going into it negatively and then I just so biasedly refuse to see a movie that might be good. Unlikely. Don't get me wrong. Unlikely. And I'm going to go into it hating on episode 8 and I'm going to break down everything and go through everything in the comics and all that stuff. But it's got some talent around it. And if George Lucas is helping alongside of Chris Terrio and he's able to do what he wants, I don't trust JJ as much, especially on closing out things. So, I don't know. You might want to watch one of the worst shows ever. Is Star Wars Resistance that terrible? Maybe I do need to watch it. Maybe I record it or something to show some of my reactions how terrible it is. I tried to give Star Wars Resistance a chance and just gave up. Wow, that's interesting. I didn't really have high hopes for it, but that gives me a lot of answers. What's up, Sensei Mike? Yeah, I said some of the stuff in this video, but I've just been gone. I've moved 3 times since my last video, and I've been working like 120 hours a week trying to just get some different things put together. I've got a lot of different businesses and work things I'm doing that I don't want to go into too much detail on right now. Trying to get things going and starting to get a little bit more free time now where I can start doing some of the channel stuff. Yeah, what's up? What's up, entertainment? It's looking like Luke might simply have a cameo in episode 9, not even a main. That's weird. If he does do that, your bit on Infant's Nest reveal in your review is still one of my favorite things on YouTube. I forgot what I even did. I don't remember half the stuff I say or do because I don't write out a script. So I'll have to go check that out again, system. I remember kind of the idea I had of it, but I don't remember what was funny about it. Like, I remember how stupid the whole thing was, where it was just like this reveal that no one got until it was like, oh my God, it's a girl. But yeah, I'll have to go back and look at that. Thanks. I love your book reviews. Please do more. All right, that answers it. I'll definitely look at it. Give me an idea, Lord of Men, what you would like to see on book reviews, or anyone else. Any book reviews that you would like for me to touch on. Go ahead and try to hit on those. Preferably right now, more of the canon stuff, because I would like to try to get a lot of that kind of wrapped up in by episode 9, and then I'll probably go and really hit up on the legend stuff and do a lot of canon versus legend stuff, like what this sequel trilogy did in the movies versus what Zahn did with Thrawn and them, and really contrast and compare different characters, like, you know, Jason Solo versus Kylo, and see a lot of these and try to see what could have been done better if they would have actually followed the legends or cut and pasted some of the legend stuff in different ways. If you hate technology, they call... Oh, well, I guess that's probably somewhere on the internet. I should have Urban Dictionary'd it, but yes, I am that. I do like technology. I'm getting better at it, simply because I'm being forced to. I finally got... you can see myself in this, the kind of Inception thing. Somebody made fun of me if you go back and look at my first video with The Last Jedi, my review of it. If you look, I'm holding a little phone, and like 4 people mocked me and was like, what is that little pathetic phone? And it was a iPhone SE from like 5 or 6 years ago. I think I got it around here somewhere. No, I don't. But I literally just got the iPhone XS or something like that. I was supposed to be filming with this, so I've got a little higher quality. Because I always just film with the iPad mini. I film on the iPad mini, and I edit on the iPad mini, and then upload it on the iPad mini. So that's the level of technology stuff that I have. And I bought a TV for the first time in... I don't remember the last time I had a TV. So yeah, the first time probably in my adult life. And I haven't had a laptop. So yeah, technology is not my thing. I can build a laptop though. That's what I'm working on doing. But I just don't like it. I mean, since BBS is a multi-theme, plot layered, and told non-linearly, plus not just a standard 3, but actually a 5-act film, it's what makes Terry the man for scripting the job. Yeah, I need to go back and look at BBS. I watched it one time. I wasn't reviewing stuff, and I just didn't enjoy it, so I just bailed. I have to look into that, George, and I might do that. That probably a good video. Might give me some views, and people might be interested in a BVS breakdown, especially breaking it down, trying to grasp what would be possible as far as it connecting to episode 9. Let's see, I love geeks and gamers. You guys should get along too, since you see eye to eye on many issues. Yeah, I mean, I've heard he mentioned me before and said something positive. Geeks and Gamers, that is. I'm reading it and like half responding, but nobody knows I'm responding to. But yeah, he seems like I pay attention a little bit so I can have an idea. Because some people said something about like me doing a video with him. And if I'm going to do a video with somebody, I like to look at their videos to get an idea. Because I don't want to associate my name with someone that I won't agree with. I'm not going to play games on that kind of idea. And it's why I really like to do a lot of stuff all on my own, because I just don't like that stuff. So that was why I looked into him. I didn't see anything, but I just saw he was seemed to be more on the political side, or more out front on the political side of just kind of fighting the SJW stuff. When I prefer more the book reviews, breaking down movies, being more analytical, funny joke skit stuff whenever I feel like I'm funny, which is almost never. But you know, that was just what I meant by that. In case anybody's confusing me, because everybody's saying I love geeks and gamers. Definitely big on him. Glad he's doing well. Good to see somebody that's, you know, putting out the right stuff's doing well, because there's not that many people. I can't think of anybody that reviews. I don't watch reviews anymore, so never mind. I'm just going to shut up. You're a part of Geeks and Gamers, said Mike? How is that? I thought it was just one guy. Maybe he's doing more stuff. I don't know. Let me know on that. Long time no see. Good to see you. Hell's Godsend. Sorry I'm late to the chat. Good to see you back. You should look into Star Wars Theory. Yeah, I've heard that. I'm definitely going to give it a look. Are you thinking of seeing episode 9? Yeah, I covered that a little bit earlier in entertainment. I'm definitely thinking about seeing it for some different reasons. Mainly for review. I heard there was a book that made Tarkin gay. No, Pancho, no, that can't be true. If that's it, that's where I really lose my mind. Tarkin is like my favorite person in the entire Star Wars galaxy. It goes like, it's tough. But I'm obsessed with Tarkin. He's like me in this, like how I envision, like very analytical, very cold, very just direct and not worried about pretty much anything. Does what you need to do. Somebody else is beating you. I'm going to study every little thing you do until I figure out exactly how to defeat you. The Tarkin novel done by James Lacerda is probably my favorite book in all of Star Wars right now. The only one that might beat it is Lost Stars, or possibly Dark Disciple, because one of my other favorite characters is Asajj Ventress. But sticking on topic, if they try to make Tarkin gay, I will lose it. I don't know why, But it would just piss me off that they went and took this guy that's perfectly fine. There is no sexuality to him. There's nothing. There's nothing about him at all that's sexual in any way. Left, right, whatever. He's not gay. He's not straight. There's no talk of relationships. And that's because all he does is focus on being the best person possible at war. He was so good at it and focused so much on only that Palpatine gave him respect and put him up there almost with Darth Vader. Actually, overseeing Darth Vader. But if you want to go and try to make him, it's infuriating. It looks like many of us just aren't seeing it, just ignore stupid comments about phones. I don't care anything. I was just joking about it because me and Sketch were talking about it. He called me a Luddite because I don't like technology. So that was why I made a joke about, like, yeah, I definitely don't, because I had a phone of a teenage girl from the 90s for the longest time. Had a crush on one of the young male officers. These people making new Star Wars are basically evil. Huh. I'm trying to remember that. I think that it wasn't, because if that's the new Tarkin one, it was by James Luceno, who's very respected in the Star Wars authorship. If I remember right, I think he fake seduced a guy that he thought was gay to be able to get the information he needed. I don't think that it was trying to suggest that he was actually gay. I think it was trying to suggest that he's willing to go almost to any extent to do whatever he needs to do to get the information he needs. I may be wrong. I need to look at it again. Sensei Mike, do just be open-minded and have a discussion with you. Yo, I'm open for that. I don't know if it came off wrong with how I said it or whatever. Definitely have no issue with that. But the reason why I say it, I guess I probably shouldn't say it, it's just something in my own mind of there's certain people that I know that are strictly only doing Star Wars stuff like I'm doing it because they think it'll grow their channel faster. And they're not real. And they're faking out a lot of people. And I don't like that. So that's what I mean by I just want to do a quick check. It's no thing where I got to watch all his videos or I won't do a video with him. But yeah, no, I would 100% do a video with Jeremy or 90. I'd probably do it with like 100% of the people at this point. Just because the people that I would question doing it with, trying to say this is, I don't want to be the the person that sells out on somebody. I'm just careful with some people. Let's see. You're almost part working on my channel. I'll have to check it out, Sensei. Let's see. Tarkin is a badass. He had projects even the Empire didn't know about. Yeah, 100% agree, Dead Rebel. They have no respect for the original says. They only care about the SJW, gender, entertainment, hacker, blah, blah, blah. Alright, guys, I think that is it. Does anyone else have any questions? 13 live chatters. That's really 11 because I know I'm on one, and I'm pretty sure unless she turned it off, my girlfriend is on another because we were trying to make sure the sound worked and all of that. But anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. Sorry it ended up like this, and good God, this video is going to be long. But I'm back. I hope I answered some of the questions, hopefully. Y'all can give me some ideas on some more things to do and talk about later going forward. I will be back. I'm going to do everything in my power to do a video every single day. Maybe give me a little leeway, possibly on the next week or so, just as I get back in the game. But I'm not going to give myself leeway. I'm going to get a video every day. I've got some things I want to do. I got a Alex Jones video I want to do. He did a video with Joe Rogan recently, and I've got to do another Alex Jones video. But anyways, thank you guys so much. Sorry I've been gone. Glad to see you guys back. Glad to see everybody didn't just bail and never want to talk to me again. But thank you very much, and never forget you Nerf herders. I love you.